Dee, dee. Oh, goodness. Hey, Paula. Happy Saturday to you, too. How you doing? I hope you're doing good. It's good to see ya. Ready to create some magic again together today? We can try. I've been having the craving to mix some paint and play with some color, so I thought today would be a good way, a good time to do that. Hey, Wilma. Lazy day to day with the fam. Nice, good. Nice to take a breath. I think we all need that. There's been a lot of really high, dense energy hitting a lot of people lately, myself included. So I am very grateful for a nice chill afternoon hanging with you guys. I think it's going to be good. We've got 2 puppies that are staying with us for a week while their parents are on vacation. So we have new puppies here. We have Murphy here, who is a German Shepherd Corgi mix. Look at how tiny his back feet are. A German Shepherd Corgi mix. And this is Lola. She's a collie retriever. She's one of the sweetest dogs I've ever met. But they both found an old easel of mine that was destroyed by the previous dogs that were here and are happily munching away. Morning, Barb. Oh, good. I'm so glad. I'm glad you guys are here. We're going to play with some paint. I have been slowly moving things out to the camper, and as I have space for them and know where I want them to go, and so in doing that, it's forced me to go through all of my stuff here, and I came across some stones, some natural stones that I had grabbed. So I thought today's going to be a fun day to paint some natural stone and just play with some color, play with some paint, see what we can come up with, try some different ideas, and go from there. So yeah. It's good to see you guys. I've got 2 different color combinations that I'm going to work with and create color grades. I'm going to do a really nice pale yellow. Hey, Sharon. Good to see you. I just wrote you back on Instagram right before this. So it's kind of it's much more of a buttery pale yellow in person. That looked really neon on camera. Hi, Anna. Hey, Molly. And so I'm going to use the yellow and I'm going to use the blue and we'll do a color grade. I'm doing good, Molly. How are you? Your swoop stone is spectacular. Molly tried the swoop stone and she did, of course, an incredibly beautiful job. It was absolutely beautiful. I don't know if you've shared it with everybody yet or not, Molly, but if she hasn't, you guys, get excited for when she does because it's amazing. Hey, Janice. All right, so let's play with some color. So I've got these the stones. They're natural stones that I just painted black. When I'm doing natural stones, first I look at the different surfaces and see which surface I'd rather paint on. If they kind of come out even, then I look at which is the ugliest side of the stone, because whichever the ugliest side of the stone is the side of the stone that I paint, if both of the surfaces are good. So then at least the bottom looks a little bit nicer. So I've got that paint drying there, and then we'll mix some color. Oh, it's absolutely beautiful, Molly, and that's the beauty of it. They can't be exactly like each other's, right? Because different colors do different things, and you come out in your paintings and I come out in mine. That's the beauty of all of it, that we can do it we can all do the same pattern and it'll all look different, right? So good. All right. Keep playing and keep having fun is what I'm trying to say. So we're going to do a yellow to blue color grade first. And then I wanted to talk about just doing color grades with just a single color and adding white. And of course you could always do the same and add black if you wanted to, but or a darker color of some sort, but we'll go through this. Well, I'm glad you're back, Anna. It's good to see you. I always have trouble finding the center on natural stones. I totally get that. I totally get that. And a lot of times I will purposely not go on the center, very off center, just to offset that so I don't risk not being in the center. But yeah, it is kind of a crapshoot. Now, what does tend to help, and I don't have them here with me, but you know those flexible silicone molds? The flexible silicone stencils that have the guidelines on them, those can help a lot with natural stone because you can move it around until you can see the design showing up naturally instead of having to find the center before you even lay down your lines, right? Like if you're trying to find your center with a tape measure or a flexible tape measure or something like that, then, you know, it's much harder. But if you use the stencil, you can kind of see how the stone is fitting in that stencil. Murphy, stop. These dogs are obsessed with whatever is under the couch here. So sorry. So, yeah, that would be my recommendation. If you can get yourself some of those silicone stencils, they are an absolute godsend. They are absolutely amazing. They make life so easy when you're doing stones. And you can always go back in with a compass and all of that, but especially on stones that aren't marked, then they're really, really helpful. All right, so let's start mixing some color. So the first thing I do is I kind of, when I'm doing two colors and I want to have both pure colors on the scale, what I do is I say, I'm going to commit to an uneven number of colors. And the reason that I do that is because whatever that dead center color is going to be a perfect 50-50 mix of these two colors. So for the sake of today, I'm going to do 5 different colors. Okay, so I'm going to go, this one's going to be 100% yellow. This one's going to be 100% blue. Okay, and then what I do is I kind of just, I really just kind of eyeball it. I don't measure or anything, but I kind of count when I'm squeezing the paint out. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, and then I'll do 1, 2, oh, there's a big paint booger in there. Got to get the paint booger first, sorry. So gross. Gotta love getting to play with paint boogers. 1, 2, 3. So that would be about a 50-50 mix. And again, it's not an exact science or anything, but that's my goal, is to have this center color be a perfect 50-50 mix. And once I mix it, then I can determine, am I happy with that color even too, right? And I always mix more in this center color. Sorry, I know the camera's shaking because of the table. Let me pick this up and see if that helps. All right. So there we go. So that's our middle color. It's not great, but we'll make progress with it. It's all right. So then this one over here, I'm going to do 75% yellow, 25%. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, and then I'll just add a 1 count. 1 here. And once I mix, I'm not stuck with these colors. I can go in and add more yellow if I want to. Like I think I'd like to add a little bit more yellow maybe on this one. These are awful colors together. These are not mixing well together at all, but that's okay. We'll deal with it. We'll deal with it. It's fine. Oh, right. Let me pick this up so it's not shaking. And I'm sorry, I don't see the comments right now, but I will come back in a minute and catch up on comments, okay? So there we go. So we've got our 75, 25. And then we're going to do this one, 75, 25. 1, 2, 3. And then add just a 1 of the yellow. Murphy, relax, bud. And this looks very, very close. And this is going to happen to you a lot, where you mix it and you go, well, this looks almost more yellow than this one in the middle. And that's okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to add more blue to this one. Right? Oh, and big paint booger just fell in there. Add more blue to this one, and I'm going to add a bit more yellow to this one. You can slightly adjust as you need to on the go, right? Oh, good. I'm glad you like it. Okay, good. I'm glad it's not a disaster color then. Good. So here we go. So adding more blue to this one. This is where knowledge from someone like Christina Lee, who knows so much about color wheels, would really come in handy. I just try it and I either like it or I don't. And if I don't, I try something different next time, right? I'm a little bit more fly by the seat of my pants. So there we go. Okay, so that's one method. The other method, middle might need a little more yellow. Yeah, I think that one looks a lot better. Now, the other method is just gradually adding more color to the previous one, right? So if I am starting with white, I don't want to start with a pure white. I want to start with just a really, really light, oh my gosh, I think this paint is dried out in the container. Oh, no, there we go. It's just the lid. I don't want to start with a pure white, but you could, and then just slowly add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drops of your other color and just slowly increase. Like, you don't have to try and make it from one end to the other is what I'm saying. You can just create a nice color grade simply by, so I'm going to put a bunch of white in there and I'll just put just a little purple. And then just gradually add more and more. One thing that I've seen some artists do is they mix their very first color and then they don't even mix their second color until they're done painting with their first color. I like to pre-mix them. Specifically, I will pre-mix if I am doing something on, what am I thinking? Sorry, my brain just completely lost that thought. If I want to do top dots, sorry, because I'll want to use the different shades of the color I created. Murphy, stop. I'll want to use the different shades of the colors that I've created for my top dots. So I'm just going to keep adding color. And we can start with this, and then we can just gradually add purple as we decide to paint. And you can create as many different colors in your color grade as you'd like too, right? So there's so many different ways to do it. And you can do, one that I think is really cool is you could do, say, yellow. You could go yellow to white, and then white to blue. And then you could go blue to white, and then white to purple. And you could create as many different color grades as you want and change them all around. A really nice color grade to start with is going with yellow to red, because you can create that really nice sunset look, or even red to some purples is a really good way to go too, because it can kind of make, again, some kind of beautiful sunrise and sunset colors there. So you really just want to kind of play around with it. Because then the fun part is putting these colors onto a piece, right? Oh, I'm glad, Patty. That's awesome to hear. I'm so glad. All right, so we're going to go back to this one here first. And I'm going to use this stone. I forgot my sponge that I normally put my stone on. So there's a couple different things you can do here. You can, again, you can do anything you want, really. Murphy, enough. Hold on a second, you guys. I'm just going to go move the couch. Hold on. I don't know what it is under there, dude. No, there's nothing there. Nope, there's nothing there. Absolutely nothing. Oh. Really? A stick? This is what you're looking for? Well, I'm going to throw it in the garbage, so too bad. Oh my goodness. You, go lay down. Go lay down, you guys. Sorry, guys. I haven't finished the big purple canvas yet, no. No, I haven't. Not yet. I've been sidetracked by doing my tables. They kind of have taken over for a little bit. I posted the finished beige table today. I mean, it's not finished. It doesn't have resin on it yet, but it's done. Murphy, enough. Sorry, you guys. Hey, enough. Lay down. All right, here we go. So when I'm kind of getting ready to start laying down these colors, there's different decisions to make, right? Number one is what pattern. Am I going to do petals? Do I want to do some swoops? Or do I want to do just kind of some concentric circles or maybe a spiral, right? Murphy, enough. I know you're frustrated. I can't help it. But this is very unprofessional. I know you don't care. This is not helping. Sorry. You are definitely getting to know Murphy. And, oh, thank you, Patty. Yeah, like he's literally laying underneath the table with his, with his face. I don't know if you can see him. Oh, hold on. I'm trying to move. I've got another dog behind me. There he is. Nose stuffed under the couch. Look, so distraught because there's something there. Such a goofball. They're really such good dogs, though, and Lola's just the sweetest. All right. Anyways. Okay, let's move on. So I think I want to do the concentric circles that gradually change and change color from the inside out. Similar to, I did this little guy, right? So I gradually went from yellows to the reds, and then I used the shade from the lighter color as the top dot there. So I kind of want to do something like this. So I want to first look and decide what I want my center dot color to be, okay? So I am going to, and you can, again, you can choose anything you want, right? Murphy, stop. Go lay down. He just said no. I'm going to do my center dot in the dark blue, the darkest blue, the pure blue. And going back to what Paula said, trying to find the center, I don't have my stencil with me, so I'm really not too concerned about getting it right in the center. I think I'm actually going to off-center it on purpose, off to the side here. And remember, you can do anything you want, right? So the reason I like the concentric circles is it just really is very satisfying to watch the colors change. Excuse me. Yes. Playing under the couch is one thing. You do not kick the canvases. Absolutely not. Sorry. That was my mom voice, apparently. I didn't even know I had one of those. All right. So I'm going to purposely off-center this so that I don't have to worry about if it's perfectly centered or not. We can just play with it and have some fun, right? So I'm going to start with really teeny, tiny dots. But the other decision that I have to make is, am I going to go from the center being the lightest to the darkest, or go from left to right, basically, right? And how many rows of each color am I going to do? So because this is a fairly good size stone, and because I want to start really, really small, I'm going to do 2 rows of each color. So I'm going to try and put you over here. Hopefully you can still see okay. Let's see if I can even zoom in a bit here. Get you on a good angle. All right, so when I don't have guidelines down, this, and even when I do, this is the method that I use for spacing my first line. I dot at 12 o'clock, then I spin it around, and I line it up to 6, and I dot at 12 o'clock again. Oops, not enough paint there. 12 o'clock again. Spin it this way. 12 o'clock again. And 12 o'clock again. This is the same method that I use whether I am painting on a small stone like this or whether I'm painting on a 20-inch canvas. And this is the same method I use all of the time. Anytime I'm creating a ring of circles, like, you know how you'll see some artists and they'll just start dotting and they'll hope for the best and see if the size tool that they chose and the dot size is the right one to evenly fit a perfect number of dots all the way around. I've done it once, it worked out for me, and I did not feel like tempting fate, so I don't think I ever did it again. So what I do instead is I do this so I can kind of see what's actually visually going to fit in here. And this allows me to make this circle literally any size dot I want to, because this method will work from just 8 dots up to as many as you want to add in there. So I keep turning it around, and now that I've got my north, south, east, and west directions on there, I now go in and I start dividing these sections in half. Right? And just keep dividing them in half until you can't fit anymore. You will get to a point where you're going to see really clearly and early whether or not you can fit 3 dots in between or only 2 dots. So for example, I'm looking at this space here. There's no way I'm fitting 3 dots in there. So I'm only going to do 2 dots. And the 2 dots might even be a little tight. Okay, so keep them closer together. One more. It's because I'm trying to do 2 dots with 1 dip of the paint here. Oh, good. I'm glad the zoom is perfect. Excellent. Excellent. We do love concentric circles, don't we, Molly? They're so satisfying. And when you're painting them, if you're just listening to your music and zoned out on your own, they're so satisfying and relaxing to paint. That's why I zone out on you guys so much when I'm painting on these things. And now Murphy is snoring, literally. Literally snoring. Oops, now those 2 ran together. I could redo them if I wanted to. I don't want to right now, though. If I wanted to, what I do is just wait until they dry, paint over them with black paint. They're way too small for me to try and get one of my silicone tools in there to swipe off the yellow paint. Just cut your losses and move on kind of idea, and just paint right over top of them. Might be a little bit of a bump, but nothing major. All right, so now I'm going to go up a size in my tool, and I'm going to do my second row of yellow. And I'm going to do every other space here. Now, the reason I do this is for spacing as well. Right? When you're filling this in, you'll hear me say this a lot in almost every tutorial. I go every other space because it helps with my spacing. I had someone comment on my ability to talk and paint at the same time, and I was like, you should have seen my first live streams. They were silent. Totally right. It's such a different thing. It's such a different thing. And I think it's why I'm super proud of the stuff that I create on the lives when they turn out so great, because I know that I'm not just sitting down and hyper focused on what I'm doing, right? And that just, it's very gratifying when you know you can do that. And it doesn't always go well. I definitely make more mistakes, but the fact that it goes as well as it does feels pretty good sometimes. It's fun to look back and see that growth though, eh, Molly? Right? Like thinking back on the first live, I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified. I had no idea what to expect. And I'm comfortable here and I'm comfortable on TikTok, but I'm not as comfortable on Instagram because I rarely go live on Instagram. I really want to start going live there too. Facebook's still only once a week, but I'd like to add Instagram into the rotation. All right, almost done. So when I do every other one, I just find that it really helps with my spacing, and it helps me to sometimes even correct some spacing issues from the previous rows. And I can do that by just mildly changing dot size. That can make a difference. But it can help you fill in spaces and fix any little flubs from the row in the previous row. All right, so now I'm going to move on to the second color, and I have a specific tool that I am looking for. There it is. All right, so now we go on to number 2. Color number 2. And then I do every other one. So you can imagine if you decided to stretch this out and say, I'm not going to do 5 colors. I'm going to do as many as it takes to get so close to the pure color just by adding 1 drop at a time, right? You could really, really stretch it out as far as you wanted to. And I think that would be kind of fun too, just to see, grab a huge canvas and say, how long does it take me to get from this color to this color? Just adding literally 1 drop at a time. I have an idea for a new painting. Yay! I know it's gonna happen. Jerry Lynn's here. Wow, 2 days in a row. That's crazy. Here we go. I say that a lot. I realized that last night. We had a great mug painting party last night. We had a really good time. Made really pretty mugs. I'll grab the mug after and show you the mug we made. There we go. So the first row of the first color. Now I'm going to do a second row. So I'm going to go up 1 more size. I think I need to go to, I'm going to go to my DIY Mandala Stones tools now. No, not yet. Nope, I lied. Not yet. All right. I've gotten so used to my tools that I'm much more comfortable. I've realized I'm much more comfortable with my nail dotting stylus tools than I am with my DIY Mandala Stones, especially for the small ones, because I usually use the nail dotting stylus tool for the smaller dots, and it's made me not as confident with tool size in the DIY Mandala Stones for the small ones. So anybody who's in Ontario, I know Molly's got a market coming up, and she's going to be teaching workshops as well. And I'm going to be at Haute Goat, the goat farm and sanctuary where my friend works, the friend whose farm I live on. So if you guys are out and about in Ontario, I'll be posting the dates of that market. I don't know offhand, unfortunately, what the dates are, but those things are starting to happen again, and that's super exciting because that's kind of how I envisioned life, you know, I was going to a bunch of markets and meeting you guys, so that would be fun. So see how I'm kind of adjusting my dot size depending on the space that's there, and how I'm kind of smoothing out the surface by moving them around just a little bit to be able to continue the nice circle and adjust for any spacing. Like, see how that space was a little bit bigger, so I just added a slightly bigger dot. It didn't throw off the whole perspective of the circle, but it was just enough to make that space look like it was filled by the proper size stone, right? Let me scroll back. Hi, Kavitha. Hey, Catherine. We missed ya. It's all right. There'll be other ones. Gonna use up all their oxygen first. Well, and I'm glad I'm not the only one, Paula, because yeah, I like the DIY mandala stones, but I think because this is the tool that we use for walking dots, and we do so many walking dots, we have no choice but to really be comfortable with these, I think. Whereas you're not doing walking dots with the DIY mandala stones, so maybe that's why. Maybe that's why. But now that I'm at, I think I'm at the largest size for that one. No, I'm going to switch to this one. Will you be posting your video on YouTube of the swoosh canvas that you did? No. The tutorials, so from a couple of weeks ago, the swooshes, those are available through my Patreon membership. The recordings of the Saturday tutorials are available through my Patreon membership, and I'm working to get all of the tutorials. I've got some up on the website, my website as well. But no, that's not going to be something that goes up on the YouTube. I will be posting some like hyperlapse videos of that design, but it's really fun, Molly. You'll have You'll have a lot of fun, and you probably will make a lot of money. Yeah, they're super fun. All right, so let's keep going here. This is a great pattern. This is another thing you'll hear me say a lot. This is a great pattern to practice just getting used to your paints, getting used to your tools, and practicing spacing. You know, you make a whole bunch of stones with this design on it, guaranteed you're going to see a difference from your first stone to your last. That would actually be a really interesting experiment to try and say, I'm going to paint 20 of them. And let's compare the very first one to the very last one and see what it does for improving spacing and consistency. I would imagine that dot size consistency would get better. I would imagine the circles would get more perfectly round, and that the spacing would just be bang on by the end of doing 20 of these in a row. Shop World Love on Instagram, they do a lot of designs with this pattern, and you should see the endless color combinations and designs that they've come up with using this pattern, and just really just changing up colors all the time. And it's absolutely gorgeous work. It's striking. So this is especially if you're new to dot mandalas, this is a great pattern to start with. And to revisit as well. Even if you're not new to dot mandalas, it's a great one to revisit. Like every time I revisit this, I'm like, yep, I need to spend some time here because I'm a little shakier than I used to be with some of them. And I remember how quickly the skill kind of developed when I really practiced it quite a bit. Let me just scroll back. I know I'm catching up. So Patreon is like a monthly membership where you get access to my entire tutorial library. So I think there's close to 30 tutorials in there now. And it's a monthly thing, like a monthly membership kind of thing. Yeah, it is, right, Molly? It's something we have to go back to on a regular basis to make sure that we're keeping that skill active, right? Because it's so important. Money, 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 money. I hope that makes sense as far as Patreon is concerned. Let me know if you have other questions, though. Okay, one more size up. And then we're going to be moving on to the DIY Mandala Stones tools. Oops. Right, so this is with 2 rows of each of these colors. And already you can see opportunity for a more gradual color grade, right? Like between the yellow and the first green, I could have added another one in there. So again, you start with this and then see how you want to add things in around it to kind of flesh out the color grade and how big you want to make it, right? Shane, I'm going to Walmart after my live. Do you need anything?
No, I'm all right.
Okay.
Is there if I take the dogs out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because I know Morty can be loud.
He was obsessed with something underneath the couch for the longest time, so he's been pretty much laying underneath my desk, digging under the couch, and getting very, very frustrated. Thank goodness everybody has found him very entertaining. Yeah. So it's going to get loud here for a quick second, guys. The pups are going to go out. It'll be good. They can burn some energy. They will be happy. But they're going to get very excited here in a second. So I apologize for the noise. Every time I come back to one of these designs, I always think, yep, I need to spend time here because this is really, really good practice. Let's go back here. Let me catch up on the comments. I have a hard time with tool size. Can you put the size of the dotting tools you use? I don't know what the sizes are. Like I could look at my tools. Like I don't know. Unfortunately, I have had these tools for about 15 years. So I can't even refer back to what the info on what I bought them. So unfortunately, I don't have that info. So yeah, I'm really sorry. What I could do is I could arrange mine from smallest to largest and give them my own number. Hold, please. Hold on one second, guys. So that's a tough one, Jill, because yeah, I don't know the size of my tools. I can look and see if I can find some kind of instructions for how to measure the size of my tools, or I can sit with try and get a ruler and see if I can measure it out. But yeah, I've had these tools for such a long time. I wouldn't even know how to figure that out. Thanks, Sharon. Thank you, Patty. Hey, Cindy. So this is greens that I've mixed myself. So we were doing color grades on how to mix from a yellow, literally these 2 bottles of paint. So create a color grade between this color and this color. So we've mixed different proportions of these colors together. Now the 2 colors that I've used, acrylic, I get this at Dollar Tree here in Canada. It's called Pacific Blue. And Deco Art, Crafters Acrylics. This is my paint that I get at the Dollarama in these 4-ounce bottles. You get them for $1.25. And it's called Daffodil Yellow. So it's kind of a light buttery yellow. So these are colors that we've created specifically for this. It's really about getting to know your own tools, right? Like not worrying about what size they are, but just getting a set and playing with them. And, you know, with every single tool, practice what it looks like to do a row of walking dots with a little bit of paint, with a little bit more paint. So try different types of paint. Get yourself maybe a test canvas. And with each tool, so here's what I mean. So with each tool, see what the size difference is between a dot where you've barely dipped the whole ball into the paint compared to where you really dip it into the paint, compared to where you really kind of scoop up a ton of paint, and see what kind of different size dots you can make with that one tool. And then do the same with your walking dots. When I dip it in with a whole ton of paint, what do my walking dots look like? And how far can I go with them? Right? And then clean the tool off and then put just a little bit of paint on and see what those walking dots look like. You could even create yourself a canvas where you label it and say, you know, these 3 are the one that I've labeled number 4, right? And all of your different paints are going to change it too. And that's the other part. There's no hard and fast rule for every single time use this size tool because, yeah, if your paint is thicker, but this is a way to test your paints, right? Pick a tool, compare it to your regular paints, and do some tests next to it. And then that will kind of give you an idea how this paint that you're trying behaves compared to the one that you're already familiar with. Sorry about my fingernails. I haven't repainted my nails yet. I got called out on that on TikTok the other day. We need to do something about your nails. I'm like, it's okay. It's just going to chip off in 3 hours anyway after I put on a new coat, right? So I hope that helps. I hope that helps anyway. That would be my recommendation though, is just with each paint you get out your tools, create yourself kind of a legend for your tools so you kind of see the consistency between different types of paint. And then you can test it to see what size dot you want to create. Having a test canvas set aside so that you're not practicing on the piece that you're doing is incredibly invaluable. I used to do that all the time. I would have it in my eye of what size dot I needed, and I would try with different tools until I got that. So that could be really helpful for you too. Okay, so now we're going on to color number 4. And I'm now using a size 5 DIY mandala stones tool. You'll find as you start to get out towards the larger end that you have to sometimes go up 2 sizes in your tool instead of just 1 to get this line of dots to be as compact as the previous rows. So sometimes, for example, you might have to go from a 3 to a 5. But again, it all depends on how much paint you're putting on there, right? It all depends on how much paint you're putting on the tool, how much pressure you're applying. And we came up with a list of a bunch of P words. Dot size and shape is dependent on paint, pressure, and there was something else. And my spacing's a little bit off here, so I had those couple dots that weren't quite great sizing. But that's okay. A lot of the times you'll find that you do things that you don't like the look of, and then when you think, well, I'll wait and I'll see how it looks at the end, and you can't even find it again at the end. Sometimes it sticks out like a sore thumb, but that's okay. You can pick and choose, right? You don't have to fix everything right in the moment. Give it time and see if maybe it just blends right in, right? There we go. So yeah, if you're painting on natural stones, specifically off-centering the center and deliberately doing that can save you a lot of frustration. And if not, get yourself one of those stencils if you can. You can get your hands on one of those flexible stencils for stones. I got mine from Happy Dotting Company. So there we go. And it's starting to go over the black edge. That's probably as far as I'll go with that. And so now let's try a 6 and see if it's going to be enough. Okay, I can totally do that. I can totally do that, Sharon. I will absolutely add that to the list for sure. No problemo. Zoning out, sorry. I like when I'm doing stones like this and I don't cover the whole thing. I've done a couple of those now and I really am kind of enjoying them. And then we go around to here. Now, in an attempt to fix the spacing issue from the row before, I've moved that dot a little bit more to the left. So hoping that I can move this dot a little bit more to the left. And then this dot can stay where it is, but now I have created more space right here, which helps make up for that little size mishap that's there. And then there. Okay. Let me catch up on comments here for a second. How do you go about dotting on the side of a stone? I can never figure out how to properly dots down when the surface is curved. It's pretty darn close to impossible. What I have found helps is to let the paint create the shape a bit for me. So on the sides, I will typically put more paint on my tool. So here, let me show you with the next row here. This will be much easier if I can just show you. Hold on a second. Let me find my next one. No, that's not the next one. 7, 8. There we go. All right. So when I am dotting on the flat surface, I'm on my final color of blue now. Oops. And there's a dog hair and my tool. All right. So this will make sense. I promise. So when I'm dotting on the surface, I'm putting the tool down onto the surface. There's a lot of dot artists that never touch the tool to the surface. I'm not one of those people. I do. Right? And I apologize for the shadow. So these ones are all pretty standard, right? Just dotting as normal. And filling up the space. Right? Now, I'm going to get over here to the sides and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let me go back over here and dot this one. And then let's just, oh no, I put my hand in the paint. Ah. All right, so let's found those 2 spots there. Okay, so now when I'm getting closer to the side, I'm going to put a lot more paint on the tool and I am not going to let the surface of my dotting tool touch the surface that I'm painting. I am going to keep it so that because when the paint actually creates the dot and I'm not relying on the tool to do any of the work, it does a pretty good job. Okay, so where can I hold this? Sorry. All right, so here we go. So just a little bit more paint. I'm going to let the paint create the dot for me, and I'll apply a little pressure to move the paint and create it a little bit bigger. But for the most part, I've got a good amount of paint. Oh, shoot. Good amount of paint on there. Right? And then I'm going to let the paint create the dot. Like so. So let the paint do the work for you. It just means applying less pressure with the tool. Okay, so I'm going to do one more row of the blue and then we should be done with this one. All right. Oh, and I've got a bubble, so I'm going to pop that bubble in that paint right there. Remember that if you're using fairly thin acrylics, don't be surprised if your larger dots crack when they're drying. Okay, that's usually because the paint is thinner, and if you are in a really hot, dry area, what will happen is the edges of the dots will dry before, those dots are too small. I gotta go up to a 10. I'm saying that because see how the space between the dots is so much larger than in previous rows? I want that space between these dots to be much smaller. So when you're using waterier paints, the edge of the dots will tend to dry faster, and that drying faster of the edge can create the centers of the dots to develop some cracks. The other danger of adding all this extra paint when you're painting on the side of the dots is that if the paint is super runny, the dots are going to run down the side. And I was reminded of that because this is happening right now. This is real time happening. Let me see that dot there. Oops. It's dripping right down. Oops. It's dripping right down, right? So be aware of that as well, okay? The consistency of your paint is going to dictate how much you can do on the sides of something curved like this, okay? Does that make sense, you guys? I hope that makes sense. I'm going to stop for a quick second and I'm going to take a drink of water, and then we'll go on to the purple one. And we're just going to play with it a little bit, I think. Sometimes you just want to have a little bit of fun. Actually, I know exactly which one I'm going to do. I'm going to do this one. So I'm going to move this off to the side. And bring this little dude in. So, this guy, I'm going to do, it's going to look kind of like a rainbow, but I'm going to do all of these purple colors. So I'm going to start off with a really large center dot. And I'm going to put it down here. So this is we're going to follow this method of just gradually adding more and more of the dark color to this light color. Here we go. And then for the next row, I'm going to add literally one drop. Mix her up. Try not to shake the camera. And my center dot is going to drip as well, and that's okay because we can clean it up after. But just so we can keep going. So add one drop of the darker color. And now I'm going to do my first row around the center. I'm going to start them a little bit larger. And because I'm not going down and around and I don't have to create perfect symmetry, I'm actually going to just dot this all the way around because this doesn't have to go all the way around and match up perfectly. This is the only time you'll see me do this, just dotting in a row. There we go. Turn that around. I have never done an urchin style, so no, not at this point. I want to learn how to do an urchin style at some point, but it has never been something that I have done. I think actually, that's not true. I think I did one a long, long time ago, and I didn't enjoy it, and I haven't tried it since. But that was like way, way, way back when I first started, and I would like to try it again. So at this point, no. Take care, Molly. Have a good rest of your day. go. So see how I could wrap this all the way around if I wanted to, but I'm just going to take it to the edge of the black. Like so. Then I'm going to add one more drop. And give it a stir. I'll lift it up this time. And we could create any design by doing this, right? I could do center dots now and then do a bunch of walking dots and then do a bunch of swoops and just let this color grade happen along the way. Could do any of those. Play with it. Have fun with it. That's the key. Having fun is important. Oops. A little watery, but that's okay. They might run together a bit. But we'll live with it. I'm not looking to create masterpieces today. I'm looking to play with color and just have a little bit of fun. So the part that threw me when I first started doing color grades, when I tried my first ones, was how many rows I will lay down where I really don't get to see much of a change in color at all. That made me very concerned the first couple times I did one. I'm like, it's not changing. It's not changing. Nothing's happening. But when you get to the end of it, you will see the gradual change. It's just so gradual that our eyes don't always catch it. There we go. So I had those little dots run together, but I'll paint over those later. So now we add another drop. Oops, that one's probably a little bit bigger. Hey, Tammy, how you doing? How's Daniel? Hope you're doing well. Hope he's doing well. Hope you're smiling more and worrying a little bit less. Sending you lots of love. Oh, wouldn't that be wonderful? Oh, Tammy, that's great. Okay, I'm going to go back to every other one here. Right? It's crazy how slow and gradual it is. Because even when I can recognize it in the paint pot and go, yeah, it's definitely darker. When you go and lay it down, you don't always see it. And the other thing to remember too is your paints are going to dry darker, right? So always remember that you're really not going to get a super clear picture of how this is going to look until your paint is dry. So if you want to do tests and not jump in and see what happens, that's another good reason to do that, is just check out your colors and see what they're going to look like when they're dry, right? Oh, that's so amazing, Tammy. So glad. So glad to hear that. All right. Next. So you can see that this would take a while before you actually get to a color that's as dark as the dark that we're trying to get to, or that we could get to eventually, right? But that's the beauty of it, is just stretch her out. I like doing the ones that change from color to color, and I like the ones that go to white and then they go from purple to white and then white to blue or something like that, and have that kind of white fuzziness in the middle. I always like the look of that too. So many different things you can do to play with this design. So many. And these dots are not large enough, so because I'm already in it, I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to come back in with one of my DIY Mandala Stones tools, and I'm going to make those dots a little bit larger. The paint is still wet enough that I shouldn't have a problem doing that. So I'm going to go with a 4 in the DIY Mandala Stones and just see if I can't make these a teensy bit bigger. So I want those dots a little bit closer together. While the paint is still really wet like this, you can get away with this a little bit easier. Oops. Your paint needs to be really very watery to be able to kind of double over like this or be freshly laid down, because if it has started to dry at all, this process that I'm doing right now of dotting over a previous dot can get very messy very quickly. Okay, so there's that. Now we're going to go up a size and we're going to add some more plum, or African violet is this color. Take care, Catherine. Sending you lots of love. Thanks for popping in. It was good to see ya. Right, and we just keep going gradually. Now, you can mix up the design too, right? So keep that in mind. Pups are coming back in, so just be prepared. So I'm going to mix this up a little bit. I'm going to go back to this small one, and I'm going to put in a row here with the small one. Some panting puppies, maybe some sleepy puppies. Wouldn't that be nice? There we go. Right. You can play with this however you want to, right? And just mix it up a little bit. There we go. Now that one that is running together is bugging me, so I will be fixing that after. That's a guarantee. Okay, so now I'm going to add a bit more and keep going. Go. Starting to see, right? You can definitely see it from the center. Which one are we going to go to? We're going to go to this one. I'm going to mix it up again in a minute too. So let's see. Right. These are the ones that I love doing because I'll try out some different patterns, some slight differences in the way that I do things just to see what happens. Because, you know, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? It's going to have a stone that looks kind of pretty, and I can always leave it somewhere, right? So there we go. Now I'm going to add a bit more. Yeah, top dots would be really cool, right? And that's usually what I do. So what I would do is I would do top dots. I would take the center color and do top dots of the first row, and do top dots on the second row, and just gradually add them one after the other. And yeah, even just going in with just the dark purple on the top would be pretty. Hey, Brianna. How you doing, love? I'm glad you're here. All right, next one. I am going to go a little bit larger, and I'm going to go with a size 6. Yep, a size 6. And I'm only going to do every other one. And there. And one more over here. And then I'm going to do some walking dots with the next ones. So, add another drop. So there's benefits to being able to just mix in the palette. You know, you're not using as much paint. You're eventually going to get to pretty darn close to the other color anyway, so you can pour it back in the bottle, anything that you don't use. But if you want to kind of go in and recreate some of these colors, it's not going to be an exact science. You're going to have to play around with mixing and stuff if you want to go back in to do anything funky with some of these other colors, right? Like for top dots and stuff. So there's benefits to both ways, to either mixing a whole bunch of paint pots and having it all the different colors at your disposal. You'll see Fine Rosa and Art of Points do that a lot. They kind of mix everything together and get ready to go with it. And then there's the benefit of just mixing it as you go. Delicate Dots Andrea does that. Oh, I'm doing a joint live with Delicate Dots Andrea tonight on Instagram at 8 o'clock Eastern. Oh, I knew you would, Brianna. That's no surprise. Brianna is a purple holic. So putting up my peak dots here. I'm going to do a row of walking dots. Make some petals with these darker colors. And you're up here. I'm totally going to put my hand in paint soon. If we weren't all sitting here together, I'd be putting it aside to touch on it a little bit later. And I'm realizing we're getting through this fairly quickly, so we might just open it up to like a Q&A. I have one other stone I can paint, though. Maybe we'll do the purple to white and then white to blue on one. We'll do it in a spiral. Absolutely. Hello to Sharon's friend in Phoenix. So I'm trying very carefully not to smudge any of the other paint. I might have to put this one aside. Excuse me. Excuse me. Oh my goodness, I am so sorry. Don't worry, it wasn't juicy. Okay, so I'm going to keep adding rows of walking dots, but I am going to let this dry for a little bit while we mix a little bit of other paint. So we're going to do this. We are going to have, let's see, how many rows did we have in that other stone? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're going to do 5 colors again. So I'm going to have this color. We're going to have this color. Oh, shit, that's the wrong one. Sorry. Sorry, Patreon members watching the video. All right, so here we go. Now putting white in here. White in here, and we're going to have pure white that we're going to use as well. Blessed Pooh, thank you. We so need to get those t-shirts done. My toes are painted blue like your nails. No way. Yes, great minds. I love this blue. It's an Essie nail polish. I'll get you the name of it, Brianna. Today I'm trying metallic colors simultaneously. Oh, fantastic, Kavitha. I'm so glad you're enjoying it so much. Keep trying. Keep playing. That's awesome. Yeah, metallics are fun. Yeah, I'll get you the color. I don't know what the name of the color is, and I put it on, obviously, a few days ago and haven't bothered to touch it up. And I didn't put on a top coat either, so that doesn't help. All right, so mixing. We've got the pure blue, then we've got a blue and a white, then I've got pure white, and then I've got the plum, and then a plum and a white. Okay, I've got one other stone that we will paint on, and then by then, the purple one should be at least closer to dry. I'm actually going to put, I'm going to put a wet cloth over top of the other plum color so we can just pick up from where we left off in a few minutes. All right, so now I've got all of those mixed. And so this is the 2-color and white. Oh, I just got paint all over myself. Oh my gosh. All right, well, wipe it on the pants and move on, right? They're gonna love me at Walmart after. Covered in paint. All right. So with this one, what color do I want the center to be? I want the center to be white, and I'm going to start it off fairly small. So I'm going to start it off with a size 8. Blue is the color that represents colon cancer. Oh, no way! I didn't know that. That's so good to know. So I'm going to eyeball it, and I'm going to try for the center, and we're going to see what happens. So we're going to do white in the center, starting off fairly small, because then we are going to do a spiral. Are we? No, we're not going to be able to because we have 5 colors. So no, we are going to do concentric circles again. That's what we're going to do. All right, so I'm going to start with the blue, the dark blue, the pure blue. I'm going to zoom in. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. Dotting at the poles, or 12 o'clock. And dividing the spaces in half. Now, even just creating this color grade, I don't have to, oh, Lola, I don't have to lay them all down as part of the pattern. I could go in with the darkest purple and then use these lighter colors to do the top dots, right? And just do a 2-color spiral and then maybe use some white in the middle for accents. There's so many possibilities with just those few colors, right? I'm going to keep going with this though, because I like the look. I want to see it. I want to see this one. And I find the color grades are so visible when you do these concentric circles like this. Lola, lay down. Good girl. So now I'm going to go to the light blue. So I'm going to go dark blue, white, light purple, dark purple. And again, you could stretch this color grade out as wide as you wanted it to be, right? It would be cool to do like a huge canvas and have it go like really slowly from blue to white and then white to pink or to green or whatever color you want to do, right? I think that would be really cool. Maybe someday. So even if you're doing petals or swoops or anything else with these colors, as long as you follow the same basic pattern of dark to light to white, then light to dark, you're going to create a really cool color fade throughout the whole piece. So there's that. Instagram Live tonight is at 8 p.m. Eastern. So Delicate Dots, Andrea and I are going to be going live on Instagram to just chat for an hour or so, probably half hour to an hour. I'm not really sure. Just to kind of answer some questions and talk about what we do and why we do what we do and answer any questions that you guys have. So definitely if you want to come and hang out with us tonight, we'd love to see ya. Oh, that's good. I was thinking I had to change the shape of these dots a little bit because they were a little rough looking. But they were good. It was just my eyes playing a trick on me. It's the hard part about natural stone. Even if it feels smooth, you can't always predict where the little pits are. I'm going to go over some of these and make them bigger. Bear with me. This is drying a lot faster, so it's not working out quite as well. So again, I apologize for the messiness of these dots. But you get the picture of what we're trying to do here. And that's what's important. All right, so go on to size 3, I think. Yes, I should be able to go to size 3. So now I'm going to go to the light purple. You're welcome, Sharon. I haven't, Janice, I haven't worked with the bottles again, but I'm going to be on the next table that I start. Yeah, canvas, it can happen really bad. Now, the good thing is, Paula, for canvas, if you get gesso and put 2 to 3 coats of gesso on the canvas first, changed my life. Completely changed my life. Because it smooths it out so that you're not risking getting misshapen dots because of the fibers in the canvas. It's one of the reasons why I used to absolutely hate canvas, is because I wasn't getting the nice round dots that I was getting on manufactured stone or on wood. But once I started using the gesso, completely changed my life. Completely. So I use Liquitex gesso. I have a clear gesso. You can get white gesso and you can get black gesso. But definitely worth making a trip with a Michael's coupon to get a bottle of it. It's worth its weight in gold as far as I'm concerned. And it helped me to enjoy painting on canvas again. Because I liked it when I first started, but I didn't know better, right? I just thought that that's the way things were supposed to look, and that my dots were so off because of just my skill level. I didn't even realize that it was the surface that I was painting on when I first started. But now that I know, holy cow, the gesso makes a difference. All right, so now we're going to darker purple, jumping up to a size 5. So yeah, I'm going to be using those bottles on the next table that I'm painting, Janice. It's going to look pretty cool. The next table is a burgundy table. I thought it was more of a plum color, but when I took it out in natural light, it looks definitely, it's definitely burgundy. So I have decided I'm going to do a Christmas table. So it's going to be all reds and greens and golds, and I'm going to do some flats and some metallics, and I'm going to do some dot stuff, and I'm going to do some stuff with the bottles. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be a really fun one. It's definitely one that's pushing me way out of my comfort zone. I can already feel that just by mixing the two, the bottles and the dotting. I'm not really sure how it's going to work out yet, but I'm getting ramped up for it. I've had the paints mixed and ready to go for a little bit, and I kind of leave it to sit there and just kind of look at it for a little while, let it stare at me a bit. But I think I'm almost ready. Okay, so now what I'm going to do for this color grade is instead of going back to the blues or going to the whites, I'm going to go back to the light purple so that this changes. So what I really should have done, looking at this, if I had done a white center, I should have done light blue, light blue, white, light purple, dark purple, light purple, white, right? Oh, sorry, Lola. I didn't mean to kick you, baby. I'm sorry. So that would have just started, and maybe even started with a smaller center dot too, right? That might have allowed me to do a more, like, to fit more of the color grade in. But again, that's the whole point of doing little things like this and just kind of playing and seeing what comes up, because then you get ideas and then you get realizations of, oh, I should have done it this way, or, oh, I should have tried it that way, right? So this has given me new ideas now for what I could do with a more gradual color grade, and starting with smaller dots, and how to plan it out from the center dot instead of just with the rows going around. And do I want more colors? Because I don't like this purple to light purple right now, right? It's very in my face. So I probably would have been happier if I'd done the light purple, but maybe a little closer, maybe just a little bit more purple in it, right? There's all kinds of things that you're going to figure out as you go through this, of what you like and what you don't like. So every time you recognize something you don't like, you gain clarity on what you do like. So always look for that. Yeah, that's a really good idea. Maybe that's what I'll do for the top dot, Paula. I'll put the light blue as the top dot. That's a really good idea. Really good idea. And then I can play with the top dots on the white around the whole piece, right? So, because now I'm going to white again. Now these are going to drip down the sides for sure, but again, just playing, so I'm not going to stress about it. I'm playing with pattern and color, right? Not concerned with quality of the work that I'm putting out here. And half the time when you let go of all of that stuff, and instead of trying to say, I need to make something good, I just need to make stuff. I just need to paint. That sounded really bad when I said I need to make, because that means something else completely. However, we'll forget I said that. Oh yeah, it's recorded. It'll be remembered forever. Amazing. It could come back to haunt me at any time. That's fantastic. All right. Anyways, here we go. There's a cute little Easter egg, it looks like now. But lots of ways you can kind of play with that. I will definitely do some lives with this new table for sure. It's going to take me a bit of time. I'm going to be moving a little slower on it because the dogs that are with us, Murphy and Lola, they are with us for a whole week. So that means I can't pour any resin, right? Because when they're here, they're in the room where I do the resining, and they're a little crazy. So I don't trust them not to jump up on the table and bang around in the resin and knock something over or stick their foot in it or any of those wonderful things that could happen, right? So I'm not going to be doing any resining. So I don't want to get this. I want to get this table done, but I also don't want it to be the sole focus because I'm not going to be able to resin it for a while. So I'm going to be doing little bits and pieces because I also need to make stuff that I can put in the shop. I need to be able to make stuff to do that soon. So you have definitely got my guarantee that I will be doing some lives when I work on that burgundy table. And I have another black table too that I'm going to be working on soon too. Can't wait to paint again. I bet, Tammy. I bet. Placid poo. See, it fits so many scenarios, right? It really fits so many scenarios. All right, so we're going back to the purple stone. I'm just going to add some more purple in again. Oh, grab my face cloth. And let's see. So, it hasn't dried a ton. But it's dried a little bit, enough that I'm not super panicked about doing too much to ruin it. So let's just try this and see how we do anyway. So going darker for another row of walking dots. I still have to maneuver a little bit, but that's okay. And darker there. Maybe I'll leave the one that's by my other finger for now. I don't want to tempt fate too much. And then we'll add some other stuff to these. Oh, we'll do it this way. There. I would definitely recommend not being stubborn like I am now and wait and let it really dry so that you can actually grip it properly. I'd highly recommend that. I like to do things the hard way, and those of you who have been hanging out with me for a while, that's not hard to believe. So just know that when I show you the things in these tutorials, this is the way that I do it. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the best way for you to do it, but it's the way that I do it, and it's the way that I actually feel pretty comfortable, right? I'm comfortable doing things in a difficult way. So see it getting darker and darker as we go. Maybe we'll turn it around and we'll do some swoops now. Oops. Hoping you guys can see this. I just ran that dot right into the other one. Right. Not my finest work, but I'm liking the color grade. The dark side of dot painting. Robert and I bought lawn chairs finally. Might have to look at getting a table. Well, my darling, you say the word. You know where I am. I put the second coat of resin on the first table, the black table with all the rainbow colors, and it dried worse than the first one. So I'm going to have to do some hardcore sanding. It's totally fixable. I'm just going to have to do a lot of sanding to get it fixed, but it'll work. All right, so I'm going to just add in some swoops here just to see if we can play with a little bit more color. And let me just make sure I'm using the right end of the tool. There we go. This tool used to have like a little hook end that I actually cut off, and then I have a rough end of the tool, and I have a smooth, nice end of the tool to use. So I was just looking to see which one was which, because I have to feel it to know that I'm using the right end of the tool. Okay, this is tight again because it's not dry. I was not thinking this through when I was thinking about what size stuff to do. That's the hard part about the small stuff, right? Is that you have to set it aside a few times to let things dry. So let's add a little bit more. Oops. So you can really, again, the more colors and the more steps you add into your color grade, the more of a seamless transition you're going to get from one color to another. but almost the bigger piece you need to do for that as well, right? But it's still pretty cool to see it come together. Right, so it looks like there's no color difference, right? But there is. We know there is. And if we were able to really keep going with this, it would blossom into something very nice. Slightly darker. Let me go around this way. Got paint all over my hands now because I've got purple paint everywhere. And I'm doing these very sloppily. I apologize, but I just want to get this color on here. Here we go. So that's when you do that multi-step process to go from lighter to darker. And you can end it whenever you want, right? What questions can I answer for you guys, whether it's on color grades or anything else that you're working on? Because that's kind of it for today. That's kind of all we got. We did our 3 stones. Oh, I'm still trying to pick the other one up without getting it all over me. So we've got our 3 stones. You could do this design with some cool evil eye stuff, right? This one's dripping down the side pretty bad, but it's fixable. And there we go. There's our 3 stones from today. Always fun to play with color. Add in lots and lots and lots of that. Sealing canvas. So after you have painted, first thing is to decide what finish you would like. If you want matte, satin, or high gloss, and how high gloss you want to go. I use Podge, and if it rests on something, it sticks. Yeah, that's the problem with Mod Podge. Now, if you add some water to the Mod Podge to thin it out a bit, it doesn't stick quite as bad, and it actually spreads on a lot easier than painting it straight out of the bottle. I've also used Liquitex matte artist varnish. They also have gloss and satin, and I've really liked their products. I also like the folk art ones, but for the folk art, I've only used the satin and the high gloss. They were actually the first ones that I used. They go on really nicely, and the only reason I switched to Liquitex is because Michael's didn't have the folk art, and I had a coupon for the Liquitex for the store, and I wanted to buy a bigger bottle, so it ended up being cheaper than buying another couple bottles of the folk art. So, but I do like the folk art as well. There are spray varnishes out there as well that you can try. I have only ever used spray varnish for an outdoor seal, for a couple pieces that are going to be living outdoors. And I used an outdoor sealer for that I just got at Canadian Tire, Walmart, that kind of place. But the artist varnish, if it's for a canvas, it's going to stay inside. I would recommend going with either the Liquitex or the folk art. It's going to be hard though, especially if you like the matte Mod Podge look. You won't get quite that matte of a finish with the Liquitex or the folk art. Mod Podge is the only thing I've found that has that matte of a finish. You totally could. You totally could put the Liquitex over the Mod Podge, for sure. I don't know if that would decrease the stickiness. My thought would be that it is. That it would be fine because it would just be sealing that. So I would try that. I really like the Mod Podge though. I like the Mod Podge a lot for stone. And it doesn't seem to be sticky still on the stones. I've only found that happen on the canvases. So yeah, I would think that you could probably put the Liquitex over top of the Mod Podge for sure, because the Mod Podge is still a good inexpensive sealer. So even if you did 1 or 2 coats of the Mod Podge and then did a final seal with the Liquitex, and then makes your Liquitex stretch longer too, right? That would be an interesting experiment to do for sure. Because yeah, I love the Mod Podge for stone. It works really well and it doesn't go all sticky. Thanks, guys. I'm glad you like them. What other questions can I answer for you? What else is on your mind? Do, 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 do. I'll wait another couple minutes to see if any questions come through, but if they don't, just really give yourself permission to play with some stuff that isn't going to produce something necessarily sellable, right? It's okay, Paula. Ask away. I haven't used heavy-bodied acrylics to this point, or even the medium thickness. Now, every once in a while, I have gotten a folk art paint that is a little bit thick, especially some of the folk art metallics can be really, really thick in their regular acrylic paints. So what I have done is I did buy myself some Floetrol, it's a pouring agent, and I have used like a little teardropper and done literally one drop of the Floetrol into the thicker craft acrylic paint, and it has helped definitely. I have thinned in the past with water, which also works well, but you have to literally go one drop at a time with water, because one drop too many can just screw the whole thing over. Yeah, and that could, I don't know enough about it, Paula, to speak super intelligently on this. If that happened to me, my gut would say that I added too much of the pouring medium. So maybe pull back and start going like literally one drop at a time with that too. But I don't know enough about it to really speak intelligently on that for the pouring medium. I'm so sorry. That would be a good question to ask if you are able to make it to the Instagram live tonight with Delicate Dots Andrea, because she mixes a lot of heavier body paints. Good questions. Really good questions. What else? Hit me. Let's do this. What else you got? So while I'm waiting to see if any other questions are going to come through, I'm going to just kind of start the long goodbye, and we'll stop and answer any questions that do come through. So you don't have to stop asking questions. Did I eat today? No, I haven't eaten yet, and I'm going to go grocery shopping hungry. I'm actually kind of excited about it. But no, I haven't eaten yet today. I have had 3 cups of tea and 2 bottles of water, though, and a liter of water. So I'm ahead on my water for a change. If you want access to the recording of this this tutorial, that is through my Patreon in the link in my bio. That's the monthly membership that gives you access to the entire library. And then we'll see you again next Saturday, too, for sure. And there's a couple mug parties coming up, too. So if you want more details on those, check out the info on the website. What do you do when you have a drippy dot? What I will usually do is I will I'll usually wipe the whole thing off, and then what I'll do is I will go back in and redo the dot, but I will upsize my tool and reduce the amount of paint, because usually it'll drip because there's too much paint there for the angle that it's on. So if I can create the same size dot with less paint, then it shouldn't be such a risk for dripping. So that would be my first suggestion, is to try a larger size tool with less paint on it. For someone doing a mold for the first time, what do you suggest? So a mold as far as making your own stones, I would honestly practice with plaster of Paris. It's cheap and you're going to mess up. It's going to happen. You're going to have stones that are ruined. You're going to have stones that have too many bubbles. And so it's a good practice medium. It's not great to go with full force simply because it's not as strong. I definitely will always recommend the gypsum for that, the Ultra Cal 30, or using straight cement. That works too. But plaster of Paris is a good practice medium because it's inexpensive and it kind of dissolves in water, so it's not like throwing hunks of cement anywhere. Anyways, but take your time, really follow the instructions. You want like a thick milkshake consistency, but no lumps. Stir slowly. That will reduce the bubbles. When you pour it into the mold, tap the ever-loving crap out of the mold, right? Spend lots of time tapping. Let me grab, hold on, I've got one. I'll show you what I mean. Let me move my camera over here. So you've got your mold. Spend lots of time tapping it on the table or tapping the sides like this. When you think you've tapped enough, tap for 2 more minutes. I tapped for a long time, and that does help with the bubbles. But then do ones where you don't tap very much, just so you can see what happens. Yeah, I've used Quickcrete before to make stones, and it works really well too. And it's very inexpensive. Very, very inexpensive as well. So yeah, just do more tapping than you think you're going to need to, but give yourself a material like plaster of Paris that you can work with that's inexpensive to really practice and get the hang of it for you. What's your say for the second layer? Do you suggest the earlier layer to completely dry and then go in for the second? When I'm using craft acrylics, I'm going to admit that I have gone back in sometimes a little too early. Depending on the thickness of your paint, so if you're using craft acrylics like I do, you can usually wait a couple hours and go back in and do your top dots. If you're doing multi-surface on ceramic, wait a full 24 hours between layers. And my gut would tell me to wait the full 24 hours if I was using heavier paints, thicker paints. Just because I don't know how they would dry, and you want those to really dry nice and fully. I felt the flip-flop, Barb. I know, and I'm starving. I can't stop thinking about food. I'm so hungry. I'm so excited. I'm going straight to the baguettes as soon as I get there. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I hope that helps you guys. I hope that answers your questions. Let me know if you have others that I can answer for you. Oh, I'm so hungry, Barb. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I have a few things on my list, but the stuff I'm going to get is going to be good. You're most welcome, you guys. I'm not starving to death. I promise you. I've got enough calories stored up in my thighs that I will not starve to death. That is my promise. But thank you guys. I hope that this was helpful for you. If you come up with any other questions that I can ever help you with, please don't hesitate to reach out, and I will look forward to seeing you again next weekend. No, I don't have an air fryer. No. Unfortunately not. So I'm going to go for the breads and the pastries and the yummies and maybe some ice cream. And then I'm going to pick up something to eat on the way home too. I'm going to make somebody else cook me dinner. Thank you guys for choosing to spend time with me today. You're most welcome, Anna. I'm glad that this was helpful, you guys, and reach out if anything else comes up. And otherwise, I'll get this video up onto Patreon as soon as I possibly can, hopefully by end of day tomorrow at the latest. Love you guys. Take care of yourselves, please. Bye.